So I've had this boat for about 4 months now, and it's probably a good time to update you guys with my experiences so far. One possibility is that I got this boat 4 months ago and took it out, and now I'm taking it out again for the very first time. Another, albeit quite a bit less likely possibility, is that I bought this boat 4 months ago and have been on it non-stop, paddling up this same river since that time. Realistically, I go out about 4 to 5 times a week, every other week, and that's been pretty consistent since I got it. And then I'd say on average my trips are somewhere between 4 and 10 hours as an idea of how much experience I have on this boat. So as a brief synopsis or preview of what this video will be about, simply put, it will be about 20 minutes of me complaining about a product I would totally buy again without hesitation. And more specifically, we'll talk about what I've done to my kayak since I've bought it. We'll talk about what I like about it, including answers to some anticipated and actual questions. And then we'll talk about what I don't like about it, including some answers to actual and also anticipated questions. So this is how I've got it rigged up right now. Well, how I've pretty much had it rigged up since I've got it and have been using it. That is with a 180 drive modification to the original drive. A new seat, I'll put a link in the description below. A kayak paddle rather than a stand-up paddle. And then I've taken pretty much everything else that came on it off. It's just throw and go for me. Regarding portability, this is a very manageable boat. Regarding stability, this is a boat that you can stand up and pee off the edge of. That is, if you can pee standing up, i.e. not a female or a Ned rig fisherman. The functionality of this drive is one of my favorite components of this entire boat. Having said that, the benefits of this drive are well covered in other places. For me, I guess I might just mention, for my specific purposes, that in the fully compressed position, these fins don't stick down from the boat at all and draft nearly zero water. And then on top of that, you can still paddle in shallow water by doing a flutter kick of sorts, where the fins come down off the bottom of the boat only a couple of inches, if that. regarding durability, someone rear-ended me today, actually, while I was trying to get my hair cut, and it crumpled up the front of my boat and crumpled up his chrome-covered plastic grill, but my boat sprung back into shape, and his grill did not. So one question that I anticipate, primarily from my more timid viewers, possibly vegans, or worse, Ned rig fishermen, would be, aren't you afraid of having hooks and fishing equipment on this kayak? And the answer is no. It's never been an issue for me. So you can stand up and fish on this boat, and you can stand up and traverse rapids on this boat. You can stand up and pee off this boat. You can stand up and fish while peeing off this boat, I'm happy to report. But you don't want to do that. What you want to do is stand up and fish and steer or change locations in this boat. And you can't do that. If you're going with the current or you have the wind at your back or something, you can crouch down and steer a little bit with this guy. But if you're going upstream or you have the wind at your back, you have no choice but to sit down. I find myself standing up, fishing, and then sitting down, pedaling or steering or both, and then standing up and fishing, and then sitting down and pedaling or steering or both. Standing up, and you can see it gets to be irritating. It's a nuisance. So it's 36 pounds. It's super portable. Throw and go. I drag it over rocks. Store it in the back of my truck. I bounce lures off the front of it. But it's still a inflatable kayak. And that's worrisome. I have gotten 2 punctures in my boat since owning it. Both were small, and in fact, it took me a long time to try to figure out where they were. They were leaking so slowly. So I patched both holes about a month ago, and I haven't had to re-inflate it since. I check it periodically, and it's always at 10 psi. And as I mentioned here, I did get hit by a truck and it crumpled up my boat to the front of it, curled up, but then it popped right back to shape, and it's continued even since then to maintain its maintain air. Now the drive is sweet, seriously sweet, but I do have some nitpicks or issues, complaints that may be worth mentioning. I bought a new spine for my drive to convert it from a standard kick-up fin drive to a 180 drive. But it turns out that you need a whole lot more than the spine alone to convert the drive from standard that it comes with to a 180 drive. And I believe that to be because at this time you can't get a aftermarket 180 also kick-up fin spine. And so I think for right now at least, you're forced to make the decision whether or not you want kick-up fins or you want the 180 drive. And that's a pretty challenging decision, actually. Having the ability to back up is super valuable in moving water where I generally fish, as it allows me to slow down, stop, and in some cases back up. However, without the kick-up fins, it should be noted that the pedal arms have a tendency to migrate to the neutral or upright position, so that when standing, it's not uncommon for the fins to hang on something, stopping the boat immediately, resulting in, although it's never been complete, ejection from the boat close to it. You can probably see there's a seam along the edge of the fin, and you can see that I've zip tied it. And that is because that seam is not glued or melted or sealed, and it can just pop off such that the rod can pop out and the fin just dangles from this connector here at the back. One thing I've discovered is this boat is very difficult to keep clean. This foam padding at the front of the boat, the standing portion of the boat, absorbs dirt with great avidity. The dimpled portion of the boat, with the where the drop stitching is, has a tendency to accumulate dirt, and it is nearly impossible to get out of those little dimples. You gotta really dig and scrape and bag, and it's just super tedious, like, you know, almost as bad as Ned rig fishing. If you're under motion from the pedals specifically, and then turn, it turns well. But if you're trying to turn from a stop, as is frequently the case when you're fishing, getting close to a bank, now I want to turn, getting close to a limb, now I want to turn, you have to achieve a certain speed. You have to be moving before the rudder works. And of course, that's just the way a rudder works, but it can be challenging and frustrating for someone used to a paddle, which both propels and simultaneously steers the boat. I really do like the idea of this umbilical cord that includes the cables for steering. But I have to also admit that this fabric is really very adept at snagging hooks. Maybe some sort of plastic or rubber material would be better to avoid that.